I'm Lise Leblanc, therapist, author, and life coach, and today I'm talking about emotional dysregulation, the different disorders where emotional dysregulation is a symptom, and 10 tips on how to handle these episodes as a partner who's trying to be supportive while also ensuring your own physical and psychological well-being. So I'm not suggesting that anyone should stay in a toxic or abusive relationship. This video is intended for those whose partners are struggling with emotional dysregulation and are engaged in therapy and are making efforts to manage their symptoms and their nervous system better so that they're not harming the people that they love. So the term emotional dysregulation doesn't just mean being highly emotional. It actually describes a more specific state where the person's brain's survival circuits become highly activated and the autonomic nervous system gets disrupted, making it extremely difficult for the person to control their emotions, their impulses, and their reactions. Specifically, an episode of emotional dysregulation refers to the excessive activation of the autonomic nervous system, and it involves an overactive amygdala and other limbic structures, as well as underactive areas of the prefrontal cortex, which impairs the person's ability to regulate their emotions, to use good judgment, to control impulses, and think rationally. In other words, emotions take over and their access to executive functions are cut off, giving that person the feeling that they are driving full speed ahead without any access to the brakes or steering wheel. These episodes of emotional dysregulation and the behaviors that stem from this state tend to reinforce feelings of worthlessness and shame, which often leads to a vicious cycle of self-hatred and damaged relationships. For the person who is dysregulated, it feels like the world is crashing down around them. The intensity of this episode is completely overwhelming them, making them feel very unsafe. They are in full-blown survival mode, and they often attribute their sense of danger and threat to the person closest to them. So they jump to conclusions, make accusations, lash out in nasty ways, believing that their feelings are facts and that their twisted logic and their twisted perceptions are real and true. And it can take a very long time for that person to gain enough self-awareness and distress tolerance skills to navigate such an episode without losing control. And this can lead to prolonged periods of conflict, misunderstandings, and very stormy and dysfunctional relationships. Emotional dysregulation is a major factor in many disorders, including borderline personality disorder, bipolar, autism, ADHD, post-traumatic stress disorder, to name only a few. Individuals who experience emotional dysregulation have frequent and intense mood swings, exhibit heightened sensitivity to emotional triggers. They have a tendency to overreact and have outbursts, and they don't always know why, and they find it very, very difficult to calm down after they are emotionally aroused. So they struggle with self-soothing, problem solving, communicating their emotions when they're stressed or triggered. And to make matters worse, they often use maladaptive coping mechanisms such as excessive alcohol or marijuana use in order to self-medicate to calm their overactive nervous system. If your partner experiences episodes of emotional dysregulation, you probably feel like you're walking on eggshells, trying to avoid triggering them. And you may find yourself feeling constantly stressed out and on edge, not knowing how to respond or when the next outburst will be. So here are 10 tips. Number one, recognize emotional triggers and episodes for what they are. Start paying attention to patterns. Be aware of specific triggers that precede these episodes of emotional dysregulation. This might include certain events, topics, stressors, or hormonal changes. Understand that during these episodes, your partner might exhibit extreme and irrational behavior, and that's because of the intensity of their emotions. It's completely overwhelming them. So as soon as you notice signs of an emotional episode, such as that wild caged animal look, slowly disengage, retreat calmly. Attempting to defend yourself or reason with someone who's in this state, it's like trying to talk to someone who's having a seizure. Number 2, distinguish between their emotions and your own emotions. Remember that their emotional reactions may stem from unresolved issues that have nothing to do with you, or triggers that aren't about you either, even though they might be pointing the finger at you. So despite being blamed, don't assume that their emotional state is your fault or your responsibility to fix. Number 3, get a reality check and stay grounded. Avoid being swept up in your partner's emotional intensity and assess whether their emotional reaction is proportionate to the situation at hand. But do not tell your partner that they're overreacting or being dramatic. Do not invalidate them in any way because their nervous system is out of order, and whatever they are thinking and feeling is true and real to them in that moment. So trying to present the facts or prove that they're misinterpreting things will only make things worse. Number 4, offer to support them, but prioritize your own safety. So you can say something like, I understand you're upset. Is there anything I can do to help? If they continue to escalate, let them know that you're going to do some task and you'll be back shortly. For example, I'm going to cut the grass. I'm going to take the kids to the park and I'll be back soon. It's important not to make the person feel abandoned, rejected, or punished, but rather to set your boundaries respectfully, recognizing that when your partner is in a sheer state of primal emotion, they are not in control of themselves. It may very well be that when your partner is regulated, they are the sweetest, kindest, coolest person you know. But when they're dysregulated, they may spew out the most horrible, hateful things about you and at you. So if your partner's behavior becomes abusive, remove yourself and any other vulnerable people from their blast radius to protect everyone's well-being and minimize damage. Number 5, manage communication and enforce boundaries. So listen empathetically, validate their feelings without agreeing to any unrealistic demands. Try to remain non-reactive even though they may be hurling these unfiltered insults and false accusations at you. Don't take it personally and realize they are not in control of what is coming out of their mouth. And it's not your job or within your realm of control to manage their emotions or their behavior. So focus on managing yourself, take care of your personal safety and your psychological well-being. Number 6, develop your own coping mechanisms. It's important to learn to manage yourself, manage your emotions, reduce your overall stress level so that you can respond to these challenging situations more effectively. So when your partner gets dysregulated, don't get swept up in the emotional storm. Instead, remind yourself that it will soon pass, and the best thing that you can do while waiting for it to pass is focus on your own self-care. For example, write in your journal to express and process your feelings. Practice meditation or breathing exercises to center yourself and manage stress. Engage in physical activities to help regulate your emotions and maintain your overall sense of well-being. Number 7, respond strategically by positively and negatively reinforcing their behavior. So if their behavior suggests that they're getting calmer or making an effort to regulate their emotions or control their reactions, then positively reinforce that and be mindful of their love language and what works for them when it comes to positive reinforcement. For example, if their love language is words of affirmation, then do that. But if they don't respond well, then try something else. And withdraw attention when negative behaviors such as name calling arise, but do so calmly and with compassion. And when faced with threats or extreme statements, acknowledge your partner's feelings, but don't take them too seriously, especially if this is an ongoing pattern. And certainly don't get sucked into making promises to change or make any immediate decisions for that matter. Let things cool down, let their emotions settle before having any serious discussions about solutions. Number 8, create a crisis plan. So when things calm down, usually the dysregulated partner feels very shameful for their outburst and for the hurtful things that they said or did during the episode. Acknowledge that this will probably happen again and talk about how to reduce the emotional impacts on both of you by finding ways to better manage these emotional episodes. This might include taking a break, having a grounding kit, mindfulness and breathing exercises. It could be distraction techniques that re-engage the rational side of the brain. It could be a network of people that you can both reach out to when in crisis, making sure that these people understand emotional dysregulation and are also supportive of the relationship. This proactive approach helps create a sense of teamwork and shared responsibility in handling the emotional turbulence. But please know that the person who is emotionally dysregulated probably will not have the capacity to follow the plan during an episode. So keep this in mind when developing the plan and know that you, as the more regulated partner, may need to take charge. Number 9, reflect and reassess periodically. So take the time to reassess the effectiveness of your own coping strategies and boundaries, and together reevaluate the crisis plan after each episode. Take time to reflect on what happened, what worked well, and what you could improve on to handle the situation better in the future. Identify any recurring patterns related to what is triggering the emotional episodes and talk about strategies or solutions that could address some of these recurring problems and underlying issues. It's important to do this in a way that is not blaming or shaming either partner. It's more of a conversation of, hey, let's talk about what happened. Let's talk about what's working, what's not working, and how we can get better at handling this as a team. Number 10, encourage them to engage in dialectical behavior therapy. Although this treatment was first designed specifically for those with borderline personality disorder, it is very effective in treating emotional dysregulation associated with other disorders such as ADHD and PTSD. I would also suggest individual counseling and DBT skills training for you as the partner to help you understand how to manage these situations. If you found this video helpful, please like, comment, subscribe, and to learn more about borderline personality disorder, please click on the link above.